For this assignment, you're going to be doing a discussion board. And this is normally done in a face-to-face class, but since we are going virtual, I'm going to have it be a discussion board item for you. For this assignment, you are going to be analyzing a poll for credibility. You're going to definitely want to reference the slide deck to help you understand how to analyze a poll and what decides to make a poll credible or not credible. So for this poll, you are going to look at online polls. I've given you a whole bunch of online polls that have already taken you right to where the poll is. You can play around with which one works best for you. But for example, if you were to click the Washington Post and you see this page come up, you can pick one of them. You will need to click full trend and detailed methods. That way you get the entire poll and not just part of it. Once you've clicked it, you will see the entire poll come up. You can see the dates of when the poll was taken. You can see where the poll was at. And then down here, you see all the different polling questions. For this assignment, you only need to pick one question. So for example, you could just pick question 1 or question 2 and so forth. And you can copy and paste what you need to go into the discussion board. So once you've located a poll, then you're going to answer these questions that are bulleted. I want the title and the web address. The web address is which one of these sites you got the poll from. When was the date of the poll? Which question did you pick? Who was the target population? So who was focused on in this poll? What was the sample size? Remember, the sample size is just the number of participants. You will find that located in the poll somewhere. Generally, it's written in very small print. So if you go to Washington Post, a lot of that information is located up here. So you can see that it was 1,003 adults. That was the sample. So you're going to have to do some searching to find the answers that you need to these questions. Then I want to know what kind of poll it was. Was it a phone interview? Was it online? Was it paper pencil, survey, those types of things? Now, margin of error means, was there a margin of error located in the poll? This is usually with a plus or minus. If your poll does not state that, then you want to put NA, because not all polls have a margin of error. And those are to help you know how many people, give or take, might do the poll. Then I want the results of the poll. For this, you can just copy and paste. If copy and pasting is a difficult process, then you can always write the results. So for example, if you did question number 1, this would be your chart right here for all the results, and you could just copy and paste that into your assignment. Then I want to know 2 conclusions that you can gather from the poll. In order to get your conclusions, you have to look at the results. So conclusions would be 2 things that you could say are true based on the poll. So tell me by looking at your poll results, which 2 things could be true. That is what you will do for the initial post. Then, when your classmates begin to post as well, you will then take one of the polls that one of your classmates has posted, and now you're going to have to refer to the criteria for polls to be able to tell your classmate whether or not their poll is credible. So you may go back to the Exploring Polls content page, and when you're here, you will see what the criteria is. Oh my God, Good morning. For this assignment, it is going to be your discussion board assignment. Normally, if we were seeing each other face to face, we would do this in class. But I'm going to have you post it as a discussion board item. And then what you'll do after you do that is you'll respond to a classmate for your reply post. So for this assignment, you are going to be looking at online polls and analyzing them for credibility. So what I have done is I have given you several online sites that already have taken you to the polls. You can play around with which one works best for you. But essentially, you're going to find an online poll and you're going to answer all these questions that are bulleted. So for example, if you were to click the Washington Post, you might see something like this come up. You can scroll up or down, but you want to hit full trend and detailed methods to get to the entire poll. Once you've done that, you will see that up here it tells you when the poll was taken. And if you scroll to the top of this, you will see a lot of the answers to my questions are in this top little paragraph. This top paragraph is the criteria for all of these polling questions that are down below. For this assignment, you only need to take one polling question. So for example, you could take this first question, you could scroll down and take the second question, and so forth. And then once you have this information, you're going to answer the questions. So I want to know the title of your poll and which one of these polling sites you got it from. I want to know when the poll was taken. What was the date? What was the question? So for example, you can just copy and paste the question that you take. Then I want to know who was the target population, who was focused on in this poll, and then the sample size. Remember, the sample size is the specific number of participants. So when you go back here, you have to read really carefully right here because it will tell you the date, it will tell you who was sampled, it will tell you the target population. So you just need to do some reading. Then I want to know what kind of poll this was. Was it a phone interview? Was it an online survey? Was it a paper pencil survey? And then if there's a margin of error, you will add that. Margin of errors usually are something that say plus or minus something. And if you don't see that, then the poll doesn't have a plus or minus. For example, this poll says an error of plus or minus 3.5 percentage points. So you would put that. All this means is they're including who they believe could have taken the poll and who couldn't have. It's a way of trying to make the poll more credible. However, not all polls have it. So you can put NA if it doesn't have a margin of error. Once you've got these questions answered, you're going to copy and paste the results of the assignment. So for your poll, if this was your polling question, you can copy all of this as your results, okay? And you can just paste it into your assignment. Then, after you have your results, I want you to tell me 2 conclusions that you can gather from the poll. 2 conclusions means 2 things that you could say are true based upon the results of the poll. Once you have that, you'll submit that. And so to answer these questions, you're going to click reply, and then you'll put all of your answers right here, scroll down and hit post reply. Then it will be shown for your classmates to see. And you can just start typing right in this box or copying and pasting. Once you have your initial post, you now have to do what's called a reply post. This is going to be you looking now at somebody else's poll in the class, and now you're going to use the criteria on the previous page to be able to say whether that poll is credible. So to be able to do that, you're going to go back to the Exploring Polls content page, which is where this slide deck and my voice is having. And you're going to look at this criteria right here. You're going to look at your classmates' poll, and you're going to go through each one of these questions, and you're going to answer yes and no and yes and no. If the poll that you're looking at meets all of these criteria, you have a lot of yeses, then that means your classmates' poll is credible, and you can explain why, because it has each of these components. However, if you're going through your classmates' poll and you're finding that the sample size is not big enough, it doesn't represent the target population, and so forth, and you have several no's, then that would mean your classmates' poll is not credible. And you need to be able to say why it's not credible. Now, even if you have all of these answers saying yes, we have to remember that at the end of the day, when we go back to our slide deck, online polls have 2 major concerns. 1, we don't know who the target population is because we don't know who's doing the voting. And 2, we don't know how many times the same person is voting. So even though you have this credibility here with the criteria, you have to be aware that online polling can also be concerning because of those other reasons. So hopefully this will help you as you go through this first discussion board item. Again, reach out if you have any questions, and good luck.